It would seem your tongue has gotten rather sharp since we last met. Though I needn't remind you how this played out 3 years ago, do I? Your blade will never get anywhere near my head. I will, however, give you a good reminder of precisely how feeble and worthless you slum rats are. Within me flows the blood of the royal family, direct descendants of God himself, while your blood is made from the refuse of the earth. We are no more the same species as a worm is a wolf. Your very being in my presence has a slight of the highest order. I think you'll find our blood is much more similar than you think. When I take that ugly head off your shoulders, we can both get a good look at how equally filthy your blood is to mine. I'm not the boy I was 3 years ago. I'll drag you down from your throne on high and show you for the dregs of the earth who really are. You would dare insult me, cur? We traded strikes, going on offense and defense in roughly equal parts. Barnier was quick on his feet and quicker with his blade. Also, cool little image there. When I attacked, he swayed effortlessly out of its path, like a stalk of wheat in the wind. And when he attacked, he was like a typhoon. He had a prowess that could never be overcome with brute strength. However, I had not spent the last 3 years idle. While I could hardly imitate the refined swordsmanship of a trained nobleman, I had a much better grasp on how and when to most effectively put my weight into a swing, how to maintain the ideal amount of distance between us. And there was one other key difference. I had no intention of running. Either I would take off his head, or I would end up a bloody heap on the floor. There was no other way this battle could end. Think about what you're doing, slum rats. Think about who you're pointing that blade at. An attack on me is an attack on God. It is an attack of unspeakable sacrilege. Huh, little late to take the more high ground. You that afraid of dying? Then put your tail between your legs and start running. You insolence! I am the rightful heir of the Barnier family. The blood of the kings of old flows in my veins. And I am the ultimate ruler of this land and my people. I would never condescend to turn my back to a worthless rat. Well, don't say I didn't give you the choice. That just means we'll keep on doing this until one of us is dead. Every swing, every step, every slight shift of balance had a little more weight than the last. But unlike last time, where the pressure had only served to light a fire under me, it was now building up inside me, growing, taking form. I could now perfectly trace the path of his blade dancing through the air. Back then, the only advantage I had over Barnier was physical strength and pluck. But things were very different now. He was agile, but I could keep up with him. Now, I was beginning to overtake him. Gah! Ha! Allow me to borrow your words if you would. Perhaps you should save the snide yapping for when you have the skill to back it up. Don't get cocky, you insignificant rat. Treacherous cur. The Lord swung down at me with all his strength, but I managed to parry the strike with little trouble. In that moment, I had undeniable power. Power. That's right. I wasn't powerless. And I could never let myself be powerless again. Ever. And if I couldn't manage that, then I deserved to rot here as the weak, worthless man I was. I had the chance here now to take out not only the Lord, but the me of old as well. The helpless, impotent boy who couldn't even protect the ones he loved. That's exactly what I'll do. I'll show you that I'm not who I used to be. That I'm not that sniveling little boy from 3 years ago. Gah! Before long, Barnier was coming up against the far wall. You impudent worm. We were both breathing hard, dripping with sweat. The air seemed to waver like there's a fire burning between us. A fire fueled by our own souls. And that heat extended to the entire hall, a staunch defiance of the cold winter sitting beyond the walls. Perhaps the room had transformed into one of the halls of hell itself. Where's your god now, huh? It's time to end this. Your time on this earth has come to an end, Bernier. I readjusted my grip on my sword, repositioned my feet on the hard floor, lining everything up for my final strike, and then threw a little extra fuel on the fire, before breaking into a dash. However... Oh, wait, someone's yelling, wait! Huh. What? The last person I expected to see stood there between me and the Lord, bringing me to an emergency stop just moments before I would have taken off his head. Jaren? Because I had been running at full speed, I staggered, almost tripping before catching my balance. She reached out, placing her hands on my shoulder, pleading at me with eyes the color of early spring leaves. I could see myself, aghast, reflected in those eyes. I shouldn't have stopped. I shouldn't have hesitated. Oops, I'm sure it wasn't a port. I should have knocked Jaren to the side and taken off Benier's head. But a torrent of questions rained down on me, entangling me from head to toe like a spider's web. Why? How? What was Jaren doing here? Why did she ask me to stop? Why was she standing between me and Bernier? No! The answer hit me like a bolt of lightning. Only 4 people had survived the raid on the brothel. But we had prepared a safe room underground in case of emergency, and the stairs down were hidden beneath the floorboards. And Maria had said they were found quickly and most of the girls taken captive. You didn't. The attack had been well organized and large scale. Could the aroma of herbs, which was strong enough to be smelled outside, have been some kind of signal? How could you? How could you betray us? What came out of my mouth was not words, though, but a pained, visceral wail. Gah! But overpowering everything else I felt was paralyzing shock. The blade sticking out of Jaren's chest pierced my breast. Our blood flowed down opposite ends of the silver edge, melding into a single stream. I had completely lost any sense of what was happening, left only with crushing bewilderment. Banya let out a deep, bellowing laugh from behind Jaren. The sound resonated through the blade in his hand. I could literally feel him mocking me from inside my body. Why? How could you do that to Jaren? No. How could you, Bernier? Jaren had double-crossed us. As much as I didn't want to believe it, I no longer had much of a choice. She'd claimed she thought of us like family, when in reality, she was colluding with the Lord. She was the one who had brought ruin upon the brothel. I couldn't reconcile what I saw with what I thought I knew. I couldn't forgive that kind of betrayal. I couldn't even begin to comprehend Bernier's actions. How can you hide behind her when she stood up for you? How can you so readily cast her aside? She saved your life. How could you do this to her? What are you laughing at? Look at the girl. Look at her face. What? Why was Jaren... How could she possibly smile about any of this? What was going through her mind? Had she gone mad? I'd never seen her like... Wait... Yes, I had. I knew that smile. All too well. When the realization struck, an almost painful chill crawled up my spine. Jaren was always smiling. She could break the ice with anyone in no time. She brought laughter wherever she went. She was endlessly cheerful and sincere to a fault. Flashes of our time together rushed through my mind. She was... Presumably you're thinking the girl's gone mad, but that isn't quite right. No, she's been mad all along. What? Could anyone in their right mind keep smiling after seeing their parents murdered and being sold off? Could anyone in their right mind genuinely believe they don't have a sorrow in the world? Could anyone in their right mind be smiling with a sword sticking out of their chest? I can't. The girl's malleable mirth is but a different shade of madness. If she weren't mad, she wouldn't be smiling. Jaren lacks the capacity to comprehend negative emotions. So that can't be. She's compassionate, empathetic. There's no way she doesn't understand those emotions. It's called good old-fashioned hard work. She pretends to show compassion, despite the fact that others' pain is incomprehensible to her. No, I refuse. You can't tell me there haven't been moments where you've seen the themes interact. In one of our conversations, I'd asked Jaren, have you ever felt like you got the short end of the stick? To which she had responded, I don't even know what the stick looks like. Never mind which end is the short one. I'd assumed she'd either moved on or her threshold for happiness was on the low side. The scale she waited on was outright broken. To tell you the truth, I'm rather fond of the girl. After all, I am a madman myself. I wanted to shut out his words, to act like it was all crazy blather, but like I didn't see any truth in it. But all the proof I needed was staring right at me. Jan was smiling as bright as and as genuine as ever. The same smile she always showed us, as blood streamed down the blade in my chest. And still I couldn't believe it. Still couldn't accept that she had chosen this man over us. You said you thought of us like family, Jaren. What happened to that? What happened to all our time together? You throw it all away for him? Jackie, remember what I said? Excuse me? That I had my eye on someone? And? I love you, Jackie. And everyone else at the brothel. But there's someone I love even more. You know, I'm not the cleverest girl. I can only see what's right in front of me. How impossibly idiotic could I be? She never had an eye for me. Her heart had always belonged to Barnier. I was being presumptuous when I assumed she was talking about me at the festival. Why him, though? Why this man of all people? I about fell to my knees, but I managed to hold my balance long enough to stagger back. When the tip of Barnier's blade slipped from my chest, the blood it had been holding in seemed to rush out all at once. And with it went everything I was feeling. Some revolution this turned out to be, rats. As a parting gift, I'll let you in on a little something. This girl was my pawn from the very beginning, an informant sent to keep me appraised of anything that might spark opposition. If someone's amassing wealth illegitimately, I have them killed, or forced to surrender all their assets to me. If someone says something disagreeable about me, I have them hanged. That scheming witch. Minerva, was it? It's probably at the bottom of a river by now. But it would seem I failed to keep everything under control, seeing as you're still breathing and dragging a pack of mindless peasants around with you. That's only a minor inconvenience, though. All I have to do is take off your head. And without their leader, they'll regress back to the ignorant swine they are. Now it's time we put this ludicrous revolution to rest. Barnier shifted backwards slightly, making to pull the sword from Jaren's chest. She moaned, the sound of mixture of agony and ecstasy. I thought I could hear the flesh ripping as the blade passed through it. I should have been readying myself to fight again, to brandish my sword, and take this bastard's head. But I couldn't move an inch. Everything seemed to grow distant. My spirit was on the verge of collapse. The fire that had blazed within me had been snuffed out in an instant. Countless memories crumbled before my eyes. The word death flashed through my mind, but it brought with it no fear. Only vast hopelessness. Don't you? As the last of my will threatened to slip from my grasp, I heard a voice. Remember what I said? What? That I want to be together with you. Forever. What do you think you're doing? Let go of the sword, Jaren. Lucidity came rushing back to me, and a split second later I understood what she meant, what she wanted. I didn't give myself a chance to consider where that road might lead if I wanted to walk down it, if I would come to regret the decision, or if it was the right thing to do. There's no time to think, only act. I couldn't let this opportunity go. So I shut everything out. My mind, my living conscience, my sense of right and wrong, my heart. I shoved aside every possible distraction, rekindled the near extinguished fire of my rage, at a visceral howl, and swung. I could feel the impact in my arms as the blade tore through flesh and bone. Jaren's lifeless body dropped to the floor with a thud, and the tip of my blade ripped a gash in Bernier's throat. A geyser of blood erupted from his neck. He bent over, writhing in agony, and staggered back a few steps before his legs gave out and he dropped to his knees. His eyes were opened, wider than I thought possible, and he brought both hands up to his throat to stem the flow of blood. But it did little to help the crimson streams seeping through the gaps in his fingers. With each beat of his heart, the flow surged, sending up sprays of lifeblood. Impossible. I was right. Noble blood and peasant blood all looked the same. Grunting and groaning, Bernier pawed at the floor, evidently still convinced he could scamper off and escape somehow. Left behind a trail of blood as he crawled. It was by all rights over. However, there was still one last thing to take care of. I marched over to the Lord and placed my foot on his back, slamming him down into the ground. I'm not leaving without your head. Now to Jaren to reunite you. Wait, if you kill me, the neighboring counts are sure to intervene before you even realize what's happening. Put down that sword, and I'll spare you. You'll spare me. You're in no position to be sparing anyone. You're either a fool or a hopeless optimist. You're not a lord anymore. You have no power. You're just a sick worm. Grr. And the counts, they won't be an issue. I'll be taking over for you after all. Ha! Is that so? And how are you planning to do that? You're a peasant. You never entrusted me with a ring that bears the Bernier family crest. I'll use that to make myself out to be the successor to the royal family. And what will you do once you've faked your nobility? You have no experience, not the faintest idea how to be a lord. I'm sure I'll govern better than you ever did. You're out of your mind. A peasant like you couldn't govern an empty plot of land. Not that being a noble makes one any more qualified, as you've more than clearly demonstrated. I'll take your seat, and then I'll take the world. Ludicrous. Think very hard about this boy. Killing me will be a mistake you can never fix. Put down the sword. Does death frighten you so much you would deign to beg for your life, Lord? Like I said before we began, though, the only way this ends is with one of us dead. I pressed my sword against Manier's nape, then leaned into it hard. The blade sank into his flesh, the gash spreading like a crack in glass. Screams of agony echoed through the hall. All the blood in his body seemed to be trying to escape through the gaping hole, creating an ever-growing pool of red around us. You too will be driven to madness. Excuse me? By the time you figure out what it means to be a lord, you won't be a kind-hearted friend of the people anymore. Living this life, having no one you can trust, it'll eat away at you, and then enough! And you'll be your own executioner. Enough! I'll be waiting for you. Down in hell. Oh, that's sad. Here, every god and every rebel, I have here the Lord's head, taken by my own hands. You have no reason to fight any longer. Put down your arms, all of you, and cease this meaningless battle. Our revolution has come to pass. In less than a day's time, the Lord's manor had fallen, and by the time it was over, it felt almost underwhelming how completely and utterly we had conquered them. Men cheered and shouted in celebration. Others borrowed suits of armor and pretended to be knights. A fire of a different color filled the manor's walls. They believed that with the Lord's death, everything would suddenly be better for everyone. That nobody would have to suffer anymore. That they would all be happy and live perfectly fulfilling lives. They had no logical reason to believe as such, yet no one seemed to doubt it in the slightest. Everyone seemed to have forgotten that enacting change required work, and there was still much of that to be done. The entire rest of the day, the men partied and celebrated, paying no heed to the corpses strewn about the property. Even the injured joined in. Nothing could stand in the way of their merrymaking. They raised goblets to my great accomplishments, and I smiled along, though their fiery passion could not penetrate the cold bubble that had formed around me. The only real fervor I had felt all day was while I crossed swords with the Barnier. Now my head was surprisingly clear. Perhaps clear wasn't quite right. It was stagnant. I felt as though were suspended in a dark sludge. Barnier's dying words hovered around me. By the time I figured out what it meant to be a lord, I wouldn't be the kind-hearted friend of the people anymore, he had said. That I would have no one to trust. That it would eat away at me. Drive me mad. Then I would be my own executioner. Again and again I tried to tell myself that I wasn't like him. That I wouldn't end up like him. But his voice, his curse, refused to leave me. Images of his decapitated head flashed through my mind. I couldn't shake the feeling that one day, that would eventually be my head.
Hey, kid. Been wondering where you're heading off to.
Oh, Gratian.
Where is it? That sure ain't the face of a man who just pulled off a goddamn revolution. Your wound hurting? I've got something that can make the pain go away if you want some. Ah, there we go. Here she is. Take one of these leaves and cry that up at the back of your mouth, and you should be tingling right at the back of your head in no time. And then all the pain's gone like it was never there. It's some pretty great shit. If you don't mind getting a little loopy for a bit anyway. But after all that, it ain't like you're gonna need to think straight for a while, so what do you say, take a few?
I think I'll pass. It does hurt, but I can handle it.
And with a long face. You're here now. People gonna be looking up to you. That ain't a great look. That's with a big rock. I've never seen this here before.
Please don't touch it. It's Jaren's gravestone.
Ah, so that's what's got you down into the dumps, huh? I mean, I get it. I sure as hell didn't see that one coming either. Talk about a shocker. See a little thing like her in bed with the Lord. Women can be effing scary creatures at times. I don't even want to think what kind of shit she was scheming while she got all chummy with us.
There was no mask, no facade, no scheming. She was always just being herself.
You out of your mind, kid? She's been this for months, not the tiniest hint. That facade, I don't know what is.
She never believed herself to be lying to us. Assuming Jaren generally didn't grasp the concept of sadness or fear, that she was incapable of expressing negative emotions, then it does kind of add up. She loved the Lord, while also enjoying her time with us. To her, they weren't mutually exclusive. To her, feeling both was not wrong.
Well, looks like you're a lot better at arithmetic than me, if that don't come close to adding up in my head. I maybe just don't want to accept that it was all a big fat lie.
Perhaps. I'm not Jaren, and I don't know what she had with the Lord, so all I can do is speculate. And perhaps I do merely want to believe that she was part of the family. Gratian, could I ask you to keep this from Maria and the other girls?
You sure?
Regardless of what Jaren's actual feelings were, I don't see any reason to sully their memory of her.
Fair enough, I guess. Not like the dead can make their own case, so at least we can do it for the ones they'll find. It's not taint their memory. If someone knows how to bring him back, that is.
Indeed.
Sure everything's good, kid?
What are you so concerned about?
I mean, this is yours now. When you leave, you'll be staying here. I just want to make sure you're really up for it. If you want, I could take your place.
Pardon?
If you think being charged will be too much to handle, I'd gladly take it off your shoulders. Hell, we both know I'm more of a fighter than you. I could have taken Banier without him getting so much as a scratching on me. What do you say? I'll do it.
Don't be stupid. The whole city would be savages by year's end if you were in charge.
Yeah, just offering your way out, kid.
It's my burden to bear. I have no intention of passing it off. I'll have myself back in order by tomorrow.
Well, if you say so. But don't forget, you're in for this for the long haul.
Don't worry. I can handle it.
So, do you have any specific plans moving forward? Someone you were conspiring with? Ginevra? What was it? I asked her, didn't I?
She was hardly the only noble hoping to see Barnier overthrown. I'll have to start by building up a solid foundation of supporters among the nobility.
Do you really need the Dick Squad on our side, though? Why don't we just cut ourselves off from all that crap and start our own country? Place just for us. No royalty or nobility. Tribes blind. Just our city.
That would be ideal, but unfortunately, it isn't quite so simple. We can't just overthrow the Lord, take the city, and build a big wall around the borders without a clear, legitimate transfer of power. The neighboring council will undoubtedly intervene.
So fight back. What's the problem?
Our little band of peasants was only able to take down the Lord because we had the element of surprise. But what happens when a trained, organized army marches on our borders? You don't need me to answer that for you.
Sort of kind of that's a bitch, huh? But it's a hell of a lot better than having old Barnier in power, I guess. You'll change things for that, though, won't you?
You have my word.
Great. Said Sharper. And we'll be parting ways here soon and all, but as you know, I'll never forget this day. Crashed the gates of hell together and made the devil our bitch. Doesn't matter how far apart we are, nothing will change what we've been through. Let's make this city into the best goddamn city around. You from the top, me from the bottom.
Yes, let's. It's great comfort to know I have you down there. I have a good deal of trust in you.
I'll disappoint you, kid. Don't you ever hesitate to give me a shout if you need something. When we first met, I kinda wanted to throw you off a cliff, and you still rub me the wrong way sometimes. But I also consider you one hell of a partner. And I mean that. We risk our lives for each other. Both as in arms.
Thank you. I too consider you a comrade. You and the rest of the gang.
Ha! I was beginning to think you'd never come and say it. However, kid, don't you let us down with this, or you'll be hearing from us, capiche? I know you can do it.
I won't let you down. It'll all go fine. I have allies. Friends I can count on. With their help, I can change things for the better. I can. Believe in myself. I can do this. I have no reason to think otherwise. This fluttering in my stomach is nothing to be concerned about. When that fated night came to an end, the vast, bright blue sky of morning greeted me. I looked up at the sky, standing in a manner that still reeked of blood. And Morgana filled my thoughts. If she were here now, what would she say to me? Congratulations? It was unlikely I let out a little laugh. She would undoubtedly criticize me for seizing power through such violent means. Perhaps would twist into a scowl, and she would damn me to hell for the 1000th time. She would tell me what I had done was extremely foolish. But perhaps she would express some concern about my injuries. That was all in my own imagination, though.
She'd never be at my side again. We'd never look up at the same sky again. I would never hear her sing again. My old life was gone. A relic of the past. It would never be the same again. Not without the girl I loved being a part of it. Part 1. Tales of a Distant Past. The end. Requiem for Innocence Interlude. Wait, that was just part 1? Oh, I guess we're in for the long haul then.